Welcome to the Cables to Clouds podcast. Cloud adoption is on the rise, and many network infrastructure professionals are being asked to adopt a hybrid approach. As individuals who have already started this journey, we would like to empower those professionals with the tools and the knowledge to bridge the gap.
Hello, and welcome back to the Cables to Clouds podcast. My name is Alex Perkins. I am at Bumps in the Wire on socials, and I'm joined as always by Tim McConaughey at Juan Golbez and Chris Miles at BGP Maine. We got a kind of a special first episode of 2024 for you guys today, a New Year's special, if you will. We're recording right after Christmas and New Year's just happened. So I think real quick we can just go over how that went for everyone. So Tim, how was your holidays?
It wasn't too bad. We Christmas was fine. The girls got everything they wanted, which luckily now is more than it was when they were less rather than it was when they were a lot younger. Bigger ticket items, but fewer of them. So less crap lying around the house after we're done opening stuff. We were supposed to go up to Busch Gardens Christmas Town, but that kind of fell through. They had a big rainstorm come through Raleigh and the Southeast Virginia area. They actually ended up closing Busch Gardens, so we didn't go because we were expecting it to rain out, and then it just absolutely rained out and they closed it. But New Year's was good. We always do fondue, cheese and chocolate and stuff like that, and all the stuff to dip in it at home for New Year's Eve. Nice. And man, it was great. It was great. How about you?
What did Santa bring you, Tim?
I'm dad. I don't. Santa doesn't bring me much.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Wow. Yeah. Mine was kind of the opposite of yours. My kids are always complaining about how they don't have anything to do. So we got them a lot of smaller things. And I swear if they complain at all that there's nothing to do this year, it's going to be a problem. They got so much stuff, man. And then I took my oldest to a Sonic Symphony World Tour in Atlanta at the convention center down there. He's obsessed with Sonic. It was really cool.
Sonic the Hedgehog, right?
Sonic the Hedgehog, yep.
Okay,
and it was like an actual live symphony. And I was not ready for the second half of the show was like a heavy metal concert. And I had no idea. Yeah, it was crazy. I ended up getting super sick though. So that was not fun.
I was going to say, some of those Sonic games got fucking riffs, bro.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
Solos and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to share the video from the concert because it was the whole orchestra, everywhere. Everyone was standing up, screaming, my son's screaming in my ear.
So video game concerts are picking up big time here in the States, man. It's been a thing for a while. Yeah. It's actually, if you go look, it's been a thing for a while. A lot of Final Fantasy stuff has they do a lot of symphonic Final Fantasy stuff. But yeah, dude, I've seen in the recent years, it's really, really picked up here in the States.
Dude, I'm waiting for the Ken Griffey's home run or what the Ken Griffey baseball game on Super Nintendo. The soundtrack to that dude fucking rocks, dude. I love that. And then all the mannerisms and the quotes he's out, safe. I used to play that fucking game all the time. Yeah, so my Christmas, it was good. So based in Australia, Christmas happens during the summer here, which is still very weird to me. But it's nice. It's nice and warm. You can go to the beach, etc. But my girlfriend's family is from a little country town called Goulburn, or Goulburn, as they say. There's absolutely nothing there. Not a thing. She took me on a tour of the city with her mom, and we drove past the maximum security prison. That's one thing that's located there. So went and looked through some barbed wire fences on a nice drive on Christmas Day.
Aren't you from a small town?
Louisville, Kentucky's not that small.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know you were from Louisville. I thought you were outside. Okay.
I mean, I lived outside of Louisville once, because I was poor, but I was technically born in Louisville. I've been to smaller towns than this. Don't get me wrong, but this one is like there's a pub for every man is the way it was described to me. So yeah,
awesome. Okay. Well, real quick before we kick it off, I just want to remind everyone, if you listen to the Christmas collab episode, we mentioned this, but the news section, we've decided this year that we're going to break it out into its own episode. So we're still kind of working out the cadence of all that and how exactly that's going to work, but you will start seeing a separate show that is specifically just for news here soon. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit about what the idea and the vision behind all that is. But I just wanted to call that out real quick up front. So, since it's the new year, everybody likes to set goals and, have all these fun new vision boards and all this cool stuff. We wanted to start out by just kind of seeing if anyone wanted to share any personal or professional goals for 2024. So, anyone want to kick it off first? Chris, you want to go first?
Sure. As far as personal stuff goes, not relating to anything to do with technology. My 2023 was somehow plagued with injuries in my body. So like I have a slightly torn rotator cuff in my right shoulder. I know, dude. It's the most crippling thing to me to not be able to do the shit that I want to do, like whether it be just like lifting weights or playing sports or something. It's just like it's too real. Like my age feels too real at that point. So torn rotator cuff in my right arm, did something with my knee where it tore off a piece of cartilage behind my patella. Getting surgery for that next month. So two major goals is to fix my appendages, work on fixing my knee and fixing my shoulder. Really want to keep up writing. As you know, Tim and I are working on a book with our friend Steve McNutt as well. I want to obviously get that published, but as well as keep up writing. And it's funny, as much as I busted Tim's balls about Japan, now I'm learning Japanese and it's really fun. So I'm gonna keep up with that, and I'm gonna try to get that Duolingo streak up to at least every day this year, 2024. That's my goal. I don't know if I'll go as deep as Tim did with his studies, but just want to keep up a regular cadence, right, and try to be consistent with it. I'm not going to sit here and give you a phrase in Japanese like Tim does every once in a while, but eventually maybe we'll have a Japanese version of this podcast where Tim
there you go.
just fully in
we'll
Japanese
increase our listener base by expanding globally.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean that's so in my personal life I kept it pretty light. I feel like Tim, you might echo this sentiment as well. I feel like I was approaching burnout in a lot of things this year, and I want to like kind of protect myself this year for 2024. I think that was one of the biggest things I learned from 2020 was like, don't like kill yourself for anything to do with like the technology or your job or anything, because it'll just like absolutely like eat at you. And it feels like it's killing you slowly. So I'm like definitely prioritizing, mental health and things like that. In my professional life, I will say I promised, and which we'll talk about this on the next episode about the news. I promised I set this goal before Cisco bought Isovalent last week, but
we talked about it. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. So.
Yeah. I want to get more into Kubernetes and learning Kubernetes. I don't know if I want to be a full on, K8s admin or anything like that, but just get more familiar with it and, learn about these CNIs and see what they're all about. I made sure, like I said, I want to keep these goals relatively vague so I can go as deep as I want or as shallow as I want, depending on, what my workload looks like. Some would call that a cop out, and that's fine. You can call it whatever you want. And then lastly, yeah, me and Tim need to get this damn book published. Tim's a machine when it comes to writing. I'm very much not a machine yet. So I know this is there's a lot on my shoulders there. So we need to get that published in time for, not only to get it under our belt, but also get it out there for people who want to read it and take the AWS Advanced Networking Specialty exam. So yeah, those are my goals for 2024 as of right now.
Awesome. All right,
Good.
Tim, you wanna go next?
Yeah. I've been thinking about this, trying to figure it out too. I really hit the accelerator in 2023. I did too much shit. So honestly, if I have one goal in 2024, it's to do as little as I can get away with, probably, for a year. The problem, of course, the problem is it's technology, especially with cloud. You can't really, right? You can't actually take your foot off the gas like completely. I would say that, so professionally, I want to get back to doing more content. I want to do more videos, do more writing, stuff I enjoy, but like it has to be because I enjoy it and not because I'm like under pressure to do it. Like I said, I'm trying to get away with this as little as I can this year. Chris and I are working on this book, and with Steve as well. I was lucky because I'd already written some. So like, we have a certain number of chapters that we have to do. I kind of told these guys, I was like, look, you guys haven't written a book before. This is tough. So take your time. So I got my chapters in, so I'm hopeful that I won't have to do too much revision, too much stuff. We're going to get it out. We're going to get it out the door. I'm no concern there for either Chris or Steve. But it's tough. Like it is. I don't know if I'll write another one. It is. I don't know if I'll get another one written this year or not. I guess I will see how this one goes. Yeah. So let me think. What else did I have on the list here? Privately or in my personal life or whatever. I'm going to try to do the same thing. I've already started training. What I would like to do is I'm training now for. I would like to climb Mount Fuji. I don't know if I'm going to do it this year, but I'm going to do it. And I need to get in shape for that because it's not the hardest climb by any means. There's trails and everything, but it is a legit climb. So that's my plan from a fitness perspective. I am still studying Japanese, and I'm going to try to sign up for either the N4 or N3 this December. In the States, they only have what's called the JLPT, which is the Japanese language proficiency test. They do it once a year in US. Pretty much everywhere else in the world does it twice a year, July and December. We only do it in December. So hopefully by July, I'll know if I'm going to do the N4 or the N3 this year. N3 is like just about business level. So, we'll see how that goes. But that's, of course, the usual suspects, right? Like I want to be able to spend a little bit more time with my kids, especially, my oldest daughter's she's the point now where she's taking driving tests, and that's just fucking terrifying. Not because for the obvious reasons, right? That's like, big. Oh my gosh, a teenager driving, right? But yeah, man, like you don't realize where the time's
going quick
has gone until these milestones pass, and they just whiz by you on the freeway if you don't pay attention. So anyway, so yeah, that's the other thing. I'm going to try to make the extra time. So I think that's it. We'll see what happens.
So we try to make a Cables to Clouds meetup at the summit of Mount Fuji.
Hey, they have a table up there for you to sit and drink sake and watch the sunrise. So that it is a legit thing, and I am.
Those are three
very
things I
interested.
love doing. I love sitting at tables, drinking sake, and watching the sunrise. So I'm there.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right.
What about you, Alex?
I'll be pretty quick with mine because I don't have a whole lot that I was gonna talk about. But personal wise, I started getting a lot into trail running this last year. So personally, I really want to complete some form of ultra marathon trail run, which is just really anything that's over. It's technically anything that's over a marathon distance. I'd love to get up to like a 50 miler, but I don't know how optimistic that is. But I really enjoy trail running. So I've been doing it like every weekend since like last summer. So
That's
Huge,
awesome,
man. That'd be so sick.
that's a big one for me. Yeah. And then professional goals. I guess this is, yeah, I'll just consider this a professional goal. I've been really looking into starting up college classes. I just think, it would be nice to, I actually want to study something outside of IT just because I think I enjoy learning, right? Like all of us have, as we go through our career, like you just get in the habit of constant learning and continual learning everything every single day, right? Like you're always studying in some form or another. So I think it would be cool to kind of break it up. Like after work, I can study something else and then I can come back to work and be excited and not get that burnout that people get from studying the same thing 24/7.
Yeah, 100%. I felt like whenever I started learning cloud, that was like one of those things where like the learning aspect was really fun. And like I had missed that for so long. So I think.
Yeah, because it was different, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You guys don't see behind the scenes, but Alex is always sending us links for these things sometimes that are just very like sciencey or whatever, and we're just like nerd. But no, I think it'd be very fitting for you to get back into it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Yeah. So let's go into some podcast specific goals for 2024. Right. So we kind of came up with a couple points that we're just going to elaborate on a bit. I don't know, Tim, do you want to kind of kick us off with the point you had here?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we want to, and we're trying to engage our listeners and try to understand, basically what our listeners want to hear. Obviously, I mean, every podcast does that, but kind of something we have played around with a little bit. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, was the idea that we could focus more on some solution stuff, meaning that rather than doing an episode about, hey, what's a VPC, not that that content's very useful. But honestly, it's a little dry. It's a little basic and kind of boring, especially in a podcast format. What I would like to think we want to focus on more is the idea of, okay, you can go learn about what a VPC is from way better sources than us, right? But then let's talk about the part that you can't read a book about, and that's how to leverage a lot of these things that you're going to pick up as you start transitioning over to cloud and learning some of that stuff. So we want to talk about solutions, like not pieces of the puzzles, but the puzzles themselves, and kind of we're thinking we might do some more YouTube stuff with solutions, hopefully with or without some of the people that work at the CSPs and whatnot, like we did last year, but really just focus a lot more on, hey, cloud network is awesome, and here's a solution. Here's where you use it. Maybe even here's where the hybrid piece of it for on-prem looks like, or something like that, right? Because we're still very cognizant of the fact that a lot of our listeners either haven't joined us in the cloud network pieces, or they have to learn it, or like we've been saying it since the beginning, right? Future's hybrid. So I think we need to focus a lot on the hybrid solutions to really bridge the gap and bring it all together.
I think a great example was that episode we did with Steve too, right? Because it was like we started talking about, he went from like how security appliances were used on-prem, and then like kind of how you start using them and the different methods you can do with the different CSPs. So that was just a great example of kind of the direction I think we'll head in.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think, like Tim said, we really want to focus on the stuff you're not going to learn in, the one-on-one sessions on these constructs, or, these primitives as Jess would say.
Primitives, yeah.
We'll do our best to not talk about red tape, because I feel like that's always the crux of the thing that comes into play is red tape. But in addition to that, we want to focus on solutions, but we also want to know what you guys would like to hear about, right? We also understand we're not experts in a lot of these verticals, but no subject that you could offer to us is too minuscule or too broad or whatever. So if you have any ideas on things that you would like us to talk about, or bring on a cool guest that wants to talk about something, let us know. Reach out to us. We're on Discord, we're on email, Twitter, We're not saying X, Alex. We are not saying X. We're saying Twitter.
It's X.
Yeah, definitely reach out to us because we're curious. What do you guys want to hear about in addition to what we're coming up with? Because we don't have the all the tricks figured out just yet. So definitely let us know.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chris. That was going to be the next point is basically like growing our audience, right? Which sounds generic on the surface level, but we really are trying to figure out exactly how to bring new stuff to you guys and take any feedback that we get and open up more avenues of feedback. And Chris said a bunch of things that are great. Also, us being more active on socials, right? In engaging more. From like the Cables to Clouds account, right? So there's all kinds of things like optimizing SEO. All the boring stuff too, of course, is stuff we'll do in the background. But your feedback, right? All the listeners' feedback is super important to us and something we'd like to get more of and focus on what it means going forward. So, Chris, you want to take us away with the last one?
Well, hang on one sec. Don't we have should we go ahead and point out the survey now since we just specifically mentioned that?
Yeah, we can do that. Yep.
So there's not much more to say beyond that, actually. we have a survey, that we are putting out. We will probably post it to Twitter and LinkedIn and and we would love to get some feedback on it because it's really going to help us figure out, like, first of all, who's listening, and second of all, what do you want to hear? Like, we hate the idea that you'd listen for 5 minutes and be like, this is boring, and turn it off, right? So, because we love making it, but we love making the content, but we want to make sure that we're making the content that people find interesting and engaging as well. So there will be, I think, in the show notes, and we'll get them out in the socials as well, a survey. We really would appreciate taking the 3 minutes to fill it out for us.
Yeah, I know you're probably hearing this like, oh my God, another survey, a listener survey, a Google form that I'm going to have to fill out. And it's, 5 minutes. It feels like wasted time, but you really have no idea how much it would help us out if you could fill it out. So we would greatly appreciate it. And I will personally commit that every person that fills out the survey, Tim will do one favor for you for every person that fills out the survey. So if you can show us that you filled it out, Tim will
very kind of
owe you one. Yeah. It's very nice of you, Tim.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I'll get right on that.
Wow. All right, Chris, you want to talk about what we're doing with the news?
Yeah. So Alex already touched on this at the beginning of the episode, but we mentioned in our last episode, the Christmas episode, about wanting to change up the news just because we felt, I guess just to go in the reasoning why we wanted to change it in the first place is that, we know a lot of people find podcasts at different times, right? You might find something after it's been going on for years and years. You may start at day one, right? But, you go back and look through the feed and you find interesting guests and things like that you want to listen to. Like if you want to go back and listen to, the episode we did with Gifted Lane, or you want to go back and listen to Steve McNutt, Will Collins, et cetera. You're looking for their episodes. We didn't want them to be coupled with like time-stamped news as well, right? Because we know we have a guest on because we want to showcase their ideas, their, the things that they want to talk about. And we don't want you to have to sit through, news that could be, months or whatever old at that point, right? So we really want to give the chance for our guests to shine within our podcast feed, as well as still bring you, our takes on the fortnightly news updates that we're providing to you, right? So as of now, we are going to split it out. It's going to be in the same podcast feed, so you don't have to subscribe to a new show or anything like that. But one good thing is it's going to be a separate show, right? And it's going to release on Wednesday as well. So you'll actually get a weekly episode from us here on out. I think the first, Alex, keep me honest, the first one that's actually going to publish will be, what's the first news episode?
It will be on the 17th, January 17th. It'll be the Wednesday after this one releases. So that'll start the new cadence of every Wednesday you'll get a new episode from us, whether it's a news episode or a regular episode.
Perfect. Yeah, so you'll get one episode from us every Wednesday. So from here on out, you'll hear us with the tagline, cables to clouds every Wednesday. So that's going to be going forward after the 17th of January. Those will still be the shorter ones, like maybe the news episodes maybe end up around 20 to 30 minutes tops. We usually don't try
depending
to
on
go too
what's
overboard.
happening,
how much news there is, and
unless some crazy shit happens, right?
An open AI debacle happens again. It might be like 30 minutes.
That's round two. But yeah, we usually keep that around 30 minutes. And then, we'll make sure the episodes are tagged with, like a marker or something. You'll notice like on the 1 week, you'll have a full episode from us, whether it be a roundtable or a guest episode. And, we'll keep the episode number in there, like C2C, 032 or whatever the episode is. And then we'll have our, fortnightly news episode that comes out on the opposite week. So, look forward to getting that out to you guys. And, as we said before, any feedback on that as we move along, feel free to reach out to us directly and let us know.
Yeah, we do need to clarify though. Our fortnightly news is actually not about Fortnite. So I'm sorry if you were listening.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them. That'll get more people in,
right? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, Alex is going to floss on our first episode. So,
bro, I'm sad. I'm sad to admit, as a 36-year-old man, recently I found Fortnite is fun.
It's not bad. I mean,
they've released the grown person mode where there's no building. It's just all killing.
If you ever tried Apex Legends, it's basically the Fortnite without. It's like the adult version of Fortnite without the building. That's what it is.
We should probably be careful to say adult version of Fortnite. That might.
Well, okay, not yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
The grown ass man version of Fortnite, maybe.
Well, because women can play it too, though, so it's not really the grown ass.
Sexy ass grown folk.
There you go. Sexy ass. It's the sexy ass grown folk version. Yes.
There you go.
I mean, just play Call of Duty, right? Can't you just play Call of Duty?
Well, it's not it's the whole battle royale thing. Oh no, I guess I guess they do have that field that set up now too, don't they? I don't know, man. There's too many of them out there.
We're spinning off here, but I've started playing the finals lately. The finals is awesome. It is so fun.
The finals? No, I don't know.
No idea what you're talking about.
It's like an embark thing. I'm new to these kind of like free game things where you don't pay for anything and you just anyways, if you want to play the finals, hit me up, dude. I'm down.
All right,
cool, good to know. Yeah, if anyone wants to, hit Chris up, please.
Yep, he will personally play with every single one of you that hits him up.
Absolutely.
All right. This is the last little part before we wrap up. I thought it'd be cool to do some kind of predictions, personal predictions from the three of us for specifically hybrid networking. But that can, you can say one specifically for enterprise on-prem networking or cloud networking specifically, or just any trends or something new you think is going to come up, something that will go away, really, really anything. Anyone want to kick it off? Or you guys want me to start it off on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So mine, I've been already kind of talking about this in 2023, but I really think 2024 is going to be the year of the Linux desktop right now. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be the year.
And IPv6 is all going to happen.
And IPv6, exactly.
All at the same time.
Yeah, no. So for real, I think platform teams is something that I think we're going to see a lot more focus on. It's already been, from what I can tell, it's like growing and growing, and a lot more people are starting to talk about it. But I really think networking is going to be brought more and more into the focus of these platform teams. Somebody that I want to get on to talk about this actually at the Network Automation Forum, Kaon Thana, I think that's how you say his last name. He had a talk about building a platform engineering team on-prem, right? And not in the cloud focus, which is what so many people are used to using it for. It'd be cool to just bring him on and kind of get some other people that are working on these platform things and ideas and kind of start figuring out how networkers can be brought into the conversation. And of course, service mesh. I have to talk about service mesh because I think eventually it's going to get into people's heads, especially now that Cisco bought Isovalent, because they do have a Cilium service mesh, and it's very full featured, and there's a lot of cool stuff they're doing there. So it's something that I think for sure we're going to explore a lot in some future episodes. So just be ready for lots of talk about platform teams.
How are you? First of all, I'll say I will agree. I think there is going to be a stronger focus on platform teams, especially from the networking piece. Probably coupled with the Cisco acquisition. I feel like people are looking in these areas that they weren't looking before. And we've said this on the show before, but with that prediction, I'm curious to get your take again, Alex. Is where do you see the skills gap playing into that? Because that's obviously, because we're talking about platform teams, but we're talking about multi-cloud platform teams as well, right? So, I mean, how do you feel that's going to evolve?
God, that's a good question. Yeah, there's definitely a huge skill gap at the moment, especially in this space. I think the easiest way to kind of start overcoming some of that skills gap is just going to be additional products that come out that simplify multi-cloud networking, especially, right? Of course, you guys work for Aviatrix. There's Prosimo, there's Alkira, there's like F5, there's there's all kinds of competition in that space right now. There's a lot of people that are building things that are adjacent to that space. I think those products specifically are really what's going to start people down the path of understanding it, whether they realize it or not. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like how ACI like made people really step back and understand application networking. Even whether that's intentional or not, like, I see your look.
Did it actually make them understand application networking?
Not make them understand, but like you have to take a step back and kind of think about how your tiers of your application are designed, right? And it's more about building those application flows between like,
I would agree with that.
Your back end, middle end, front end, all that. So I think the same kind of thing is going to happen with platform teams. It'll force people to take a step back and really start understanding infrastructure in a kind of different light.
I'm wondering if this is going to cause, like, you remember how, like, I swear to God, it's like even a little bit before Cisco bought Viptela, like then like a couple months later, it was like everyone has SD-WAN. Everyone added one thing and they have SD-WAN. Is this going to be like, is service mesh going to be SD-WAN 2.0 now? I'm curious how that's gonna, or maybe everyone just has CNIs. I don't know, one or the other. Like I don't know if it's gonna boil down that way.
The thing is, without going too deep into this right now, the CNI thing to me has kind of already been won, and this is why the Cisco acquisition is so crazy, because Cilium is the one who won that CNI war, and since Isovalent's the one who, the parent company of Cilium,
the major contributor,
it's going to be interesting. I mean, all the CSPs use Cilium. Like almost every single major Kubernetes provider in some way, they use Cilium as their CNI.
So the question is, how many people are right now looking at Cilium and wondering, because anytime Cisco buys something, guarantee there will be a counter revolution, like some other counter product revolution for the people that are afraid.
Right. You might see the older ones pop back up, like Flannel, Calico.
Calico, I was thinking.
There was a bunch of other ones. So who knows?
Be interesting.
All right. Who wants to take the next stab at predictions?
What about you, Chris? You live in the future already.
I'll be honest. I don't like with regards to networking. I don't have much to predict outside of what you said, Alex. I feel like that's going to be a big player for sure. I'm interested to see how these things like VPC Lattice evolve over the next 12 months. Depending on what other protocols are going to start supporting, what's actually happening under the hood, how people are actually going to use it in their day to day, if that's really going to change things over the course. Because it was introduced as this game changing technology, but I don't know if it's quite gotten there yet. So I'm really curious to see how it's. I'm really curious.
It's more like a proof of concept.
Yeah, right. And I think I've heard feedback from people that it really doesn't bode well for multi-region applications, but like, if you look at anything within AWS, they encourage or they run everything multi-region. So why would their customers not be running multi-region, right? So I'm kind of interested to see how that plays out. Kind of more on the broader spectrum of things. I'm really curious how this AI bubble is gonna fizzle out this year. Don't get me wrong; it's going to continue to grow.
Is it going to fizzle?
Some of it's going to fizzle. Not like it's
they'll start hitting walls with some of the stuff that they're doing.
That's we were just talking about this article that we were reading earlier before this, and a lot of the big ticket items relating to AI are either the low cost, easy money grabs, and then the big money grabs, right? It's all that stuff in the middle that's kind of unclear right now. So I'm curious to see with this year where VC money is kind of being kept close to the chest. It's not being handed out at will at this point. How some of these AI companies stay afloat or fizzle out. Tim, I know you have comments about this being an election year as well, so I think that's probably going to play into it. But yeah, that's something I really want to see in 2024 is how that works out.
Do you real quick before we move on to Tim? You mentioned learning Kubernetes earlier. Why? Any particular reason? Do you see more networking people doing kind of similar as you are?
Maybe. I was drawn to it just because, I'm a cool guy and I'm drawn to cool technology. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes,
it's just whenever.
Sure, whenever.
Yeah, sure, honey, you're cool. It's just it is something that I think is very interesting, and obviously I see value in it. There's not direct value in it, I think, for networkers, and I think we kind of talked about this with Pete Lumbus when we talked about the innovation in the networking space. I don't think it's a huge game changer for us and for our market, but it is for someone else that is going to be consuming our networks, right? So we need to know how they're functioning, how to build them. And I just want to be kind of closer to that and understand what are the bits and pieces, what are the primitives and the puzzle pieces that go into that, and how we can assist there. But Cisco made quite a statement. This is something to pay attention to, right? I'm sure this is
absolutely
that someone was commenting on this the other day. It's kind of amazing how fast the Splunk thing was front page news and then it was immediately gone. So it's but I feel like these things
Cloudcast.
Together, these things together, something's gonna fucking happen, man. You're
getting ahead of me.
Go ahead.
No. Finish up.
No, that was pretty much it. It's I don't know what it's going to boil down to, but obviously there's going to be slow integration across that observability and containerization across the enterprise. So I want to see how that works out.
Yeah, that and Valtix, right? There's a lot of different strategic acquisitions going on at once. So yeah, go ahead, Tim.
All right. I'm gonna end up like Charlie Day in front of the board with all the threads and exactly with cigarette in my hand, the conspiracy theory guy. It is an election year. I would very much expect the Fed to lower interest rates, which has kept the money out of being basically not being borrowed. So I do think that the AI bubble will grow before it doesn't. But I think we are already realizing that AI is not a panacea. Is that how you say it? I don't remember. Panacea. Panacea. Yeah.
You put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
The wrong. I don't. I keep having to. Anyway, not gonna get there. So we are gonna see that grow, but more. What I think. So the other thing, yes, the Fed will lower interest rates. Will that equal larger amounts of borrowing? And I think yes, but I don't think necessarily that it actually will end up being a lot of spending necessarily. Are you serious right now? Sorry, my cat has decided that she wants to visit. So what I mean by that is it is an election year, and based on how things are, I think a lot of businesses are going to be holding on to a lot of money to see how things go. Like if there's a new administration, will it be more friendly to business? Just the normal stuff that you see in an election year. A lot of volatility. Businesses don't like volatility.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if we saw very little or less, should I say, growth just across the sector generally. Because of that, even though the Fed will lower interest rates, I don't think we'll see a huge boom. I do think the AI thing will continue to grow. I think that's probably an outlier. That's just going to grow because people are piling in as fast as they can to try to make their money, right? So that whatever. So that's one. As you correctly observed with the Cisco thing, I have been watching. I mean, honestly, I worked at Cisco, right? And so I left Cisco because I didn't feel like they understood cloud, 2 years ago. I'm still not 100% sure, but I have been very carefully paying attention to the moves they've been making, right? And I think somebody at Cisco is actually, figuring out some stuff, right? I don't know what the strategy looks like yet. Yeah, exactly, right? So there have been some very interesting moves made that make me think that it's not just throwing darts at the board, right? So I'm in agreement with you on that one.
It's one person just walking around the office with that cloud suit on, the three-piece cloud suit.
D-Cloud Steve, don't get me started.
One question for you, because I think we've all paid a lot of close attention to what Cisco's doing in the cloud space, right? What do you think about the fact that it seems like most of these strategic acquisitions we've talked about come from the security group?
Yeah, that's not really surprising.
Is it? Can you speak on that? Yeah. Because to me it is. It's like, why security? Why is it coming from there?
So a couple of reasons. One is if you think about the other, and this is my opinion, right? I don't speak for Cisco, obviously. I'm not some guru that knows what Cisco is thinking. But if you think about it, right, look at the other business units, like the other big technology stacks within Cisco. You have data center, which made a play at cloud with cloud ACI, and I don't think it was particularly successul, right?
They tried.
For reasons that they didn't really understand cloud, in my opinion, right? Like that's why cloud ACI didn't work. You look at the EN. So EN, I don't even know what to say about EN. EN is EN, right? Like it always has been. Like look at SDA. SDA was, in my opinion, a bit of a flop. I actually love the technology, but I don't think I think people will come around to it because I think it has a lot of value, but I don't think it's there yet, that people are adopting, SD-WAN. Well, okay. So ENBU can pretty much print money with SD-WAN, but that's because that's it's what's been around, and it was the big thing before the pandemic. Right. And then you have like GSSO, right? The security BU, right? Security's always been decently successful at Cisco. The budgets that enterprises have are practically blank checks for security, comparatively, right?
I guess that's true.
Look at the security products, the portfolio that Cisco built, right? Let's forget firepower. let's pretend firepower never happened. Actually, firepower was a good product. The problem was I don't think they knew what to do with it. And as again, I'm gonna have people from Cisco blowing me up all over Twitter after this. But I don't. Having said that, they made some very smart acquisitions and some so that's why I say it's not surprising to me that Cisco wants to make the play at cloud with security in the tip of the spear, because cloud security by itself is also something where they can show a lot of value.
Huge.
Right?
Yeah.
Security. I don't know if this is exactly how the BUs are structured, but that one seems like it spans all the other BUs, right? It's about integration, right? Because they, their feature set, their stack is integrated into other products across the other BUs, right? So I feel like you need to put a lot of funding in there. We know how much cyber has grown in the last, 5 years, right? Data breaches and things like that. So it makes sense that they can print checks. I mean, to me, that seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, well, and of course, as you know, with cybercrime on the rise, I think we've probably all worked somewhere where, if there was a breach, that blank check, there's all, the budget you didn't have to buy those firewalls all of a sudden becomes a blank check to make it go away, right?
Yeah,
it's completely reactive. But I think people are coming around out of that. But you also brought up another interesting point that I wanted to make, and this isn't like a Cisco prediction thing, but it's kind of tied in, which is that what you kind of, if any BU could be considered more or less integrated with other BUs across Cisco, it would be security. And so if anybody could tell the integration story, which I think you have to have an integration story, especially with cloud, it would be the security side of the house. So I've often said, especially when I worked at Cisco, usually in frustration, that if Cisco could get it out of its own way, like nobody could really compete with them because their portfolio, their integration story and portfolio would be so massive and so integrated. Nobody could stand against it, right? Like if it worked together, it'd be great, right?
It's the easiest thing to like, okay, you were talking about SD-WAN. You need secure SD-WAN, right? You just add secure in front of everything. You have SD access. Well, you want it secure, right? Like ACI, you want it secure. You can add security to every single thing, and that sells as well. And it's important to lots of organizations. So yeah, I get it.
Anyway, so but to pivot away from Cisco generally, because I think we're all in agreement that Cisco has a strategy. I think they're starting to finally understand cloud. To what degree, we'll see. In the next, honestly, I thought already that like, hey, these guys I think they're figuring it out. The Isovalent acquisition tells me like somebody really knows what the fuck they're doing, right? Like somebody has figured some shit out that from an integration perspective, I think it's going to be good.
Completely blew my mind when I read that. Like the morning it happened.
Yeah. The Splunk one was like, obviously it was huge, but like totally part of the course, right? You could, if someone told you, they'd be like, that makes perfect. And then you saw this one, you're like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, like, exactly. Somebody made a smart decision. I think what we'll see though is so getting back to the prediction piece, I think we will see. I don't know if we'll see a product or suite of products or integration product. Probably we'll see something from Cisco this year. I don't know if it'll be like a secure cloud offer or some kind of secure cloud offer that's going to try to pull these things together, maybe. Or maybe they'll do like Zscaler and they'll make a secure cloud or something. I don't know. But expect something, I would say. I don't think they're going to rest on their laurels. How long will it take? That's the question of how long it takes. Usually is a question of dollars. Incubation. Cisco's a big incubation thing. They put a lot of money into it. They want to see returns. But there's going to be a lot of weight from the on top to start making money on those things too. So I don't know. So stepping away from Cisco for a minute, I think what we'll see is a lot more of the simplification and abstraction of networking this year. I think people want that. I think speaking specifically of the skills gap. Right. Platform engineering. Specifically speaking of skills gap though, right? Like I think that exists across the industry. And I think like VPC Lattice, for example, is an acknowledgement from, say like AWS. And I think we'll see more of that type of abstraction. Is that good for us? I don't know. Can't decide. I mean, just because whether it's good or not for us is really irrelevant, honestly, because the business, if they could get away without paying network engineers, I'm sure they would, right? So we'll see, right?
I think it's
Happy New Year.
I think it's a good point because since this whole thing started, this isn't unique to networking or even infrastructure, right? It just feels like people have been put on the tech treadmill, like you say, Tim. It's a treadmill, and we're just slowly increasing the speed, like every month, right? It's like learn this, and like maintaining all that shit is becoming like not able to be managed for many people,
for
right?
sure,
and totally understand it. So there's going to be definite value in abstraction, more or less, like. I think just out of burnout, like, like people are just tired of it, right? Like, do I need to know how this thing operates at the most granular level? Probably not. Would it be good to know? Yes, eventually. But right now I need a break from some of it. And it's about whether or not companies are services or people can offer that with confidence to the operators that it's going to do exactly what they need to do. So I could see that being a thing.
Probably, I mean, I have more, but probably just one more thing is I think, how many times have you seen the Bandcamp article about repatriation? Everybody's leaving the cloud, and we're gonna repatriate. I think what we'll see. Well, I mean, but you were talking about predictions, right? Are we going to see everybody leave the cloud this year? No, of course not, right? Are we going to see everybody jump to the cloud this year? Obviously not, right? Like those are obvious. That's not even a prediction. I think we might see more. As I said, I think businesses are going to be even more than last year, probably watching the bottom line, especially in an election year, like I said, with it being very volatile. So I would expect to see more of that eye of Sauron pointing at the cloud expenditures, and some people will be probably pulling out of the cloud, or figuring out how to refactor it so that they don't have to stay there or whatever. I don't think we'll see huge moves this year, though. I think because everybody knows it's volatile, so I think it's going to mostly sit on their ass and just focus on the costs instead of actually re-architecting or moving one way or the other, probably. Yep. That's it. That's for me.
All right. Well, I'm sure we could keep going for a long time, but we got to wrap this up at some point and save some of this for some episodes
future
later
episodes.
In the year. All right. Any last words before I close this out? You guys good?
No, well, maybe we'll do a recap episode where all these predictions are wrong. So
yeah, at the end of the year, we need to be like, where were we? Yeah. Where was our tarot? Should we quit and become tarot card readers or not?
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. As always, like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Rate us 5 stars if you're listening on your favorite podcatcher. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, check out the listener survey. It's still out there if you haven't filled it out. Feel free to reach out to us anywhere on socials, on X, or on Twitter, LinkedIn. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next time. Hi, everyone. It's Alex, and this has been the Cables to Clouds podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcatcher, as well as subscribe and turn on notifications for our YouTube channel to be notified of all of our new episodes. Follow us on socials at Cables2Clouds. You can also visit our website for all of the show notes at cablestoclouds.com. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.